Yeah.
All right, so our Monday morning Q&A call for March the 12th. Okay, so let's see. Ryan had submitted some questions, mostly logistical questions, so I wanted to answer those in case anybody else has those same questions. So the first one was, how do you want to see homework posted to the group to keep the page organized? Okay, so actually the that is going to be a big bulk of what goes on to the Facebook group. So it doesn't need to go in any certain spot. That is pretty much what you will end up seeing in the newsfeed on the group.
Okay.
So you'll just straight up post it to the Facebook group like you would any other post.
Okay.
And if you want me to see it, please do tag me. Right now, I think we've got 7 or 8 members. So, I'm going to be on there and I should be able to see things. But if you ever feel like I'm not seeing or responding to something, it's because I haven't seen it. So just feel free to tag me. And then that way too, it's super duper helpful to be commenting on the other members' homework, because how we're like sometimes still in high school mode and we get nervous about posting like what we did, and we want that affirmation like right away when we post something that somebody else finds it valuable, or whatever. So just anytime that you're seeing that somebody else has posted, just take 2 seconds and do that. Okay, so then the next one is, are there timelines for completing assignments that'll be most beneficial? Okay, so that's good for how you plan to work with the results. Okay, so there are no requirement deadlines. However, what I would suggest is, if you can stay on doing week 1 actually in week 1 and week 2 actually in week 2, and allow yourself to keep it that way, then in my mind, you've got 4 weeks at the end where you can tidy up loose strings or ask questions that, you would give you that time at the end where you're actually just applying all that you have learned, and not homeworking what you've been learning.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So that's the ideal. Is that always going to happen? Absolutely not. And the other thing, I'm trying to think in this course, there may be situations, I know when I've done courses in the past where I might get stuck in a certain area, let's say on week 2. And so, because I'm waiting for a Q&A or I'm waiting for my one-on-one coaching call, I would go ahead and begin week 3 so that I could continue to move forward. And then, when I was able to have whatever question answered or what have you about week 2, then I would just go ahead and do week 2. And then I was already ahead in week 3.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? So whatever you need to do to continue moving forward, do that.
Okay.
Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it does build on itself. So, you would not want to get to week 3 and still not have done the homework from week 1.
Right.
Because you would be missing out on learning things in the process that you could have. Okay, so then the next one says, similar to the homework questions for scheduling weekly calls. Okay. Are there particular pieces of each module that need to be completed before we talk? No. So none of the homework needs to be done before a particular call. And some of your homework may come up on a call. Your homework may not even come up on the call. It depends on what you want to get out of that specific call. And there will be times, when you want help completing a piece of homework, which is totally fine. And then there may be times where you just want to talk about something completely different. And anything goes on those calls. Whatever you decide that would be most beneficial for you in that day to have as your outcome, that's allowed. So, sure, you can have a drink. So there are not going to be any, okay, so I'm receiving a note here that says, is it spring break? No, you don't get spring break. Well, okay, our neighbors are having spring break, but you
That's
guys
great.
have spring break like all year round. So you can, here's the deal. Okay, until I get off the call, it's spring break. Spring break ends when I get off my call and the slave driver comes out.
Oh.
Here, that's really precious.
Oh.
We're going to have fun. Trust me. I've got some things up my sleeve. We just made a unicorn cake yesterday, for crying out loud.
I love it. That's amazing.
Children like play in the front yard like half the day, all day, every day. Like it's a kid's dream. And she's moping around because we're not on spring break. And we live in Naples, Florida. Like,
yeah, every day is spring break.
I know, right? What am I missing here?
It's currently 30 degrees and outside, so I'm in my scarf.
Oh, they have no idea how good they've got it, right?
I love it.
Okay, so yes, for your one-on-one calls, what I have learned in the, because I've been having, one-on-one calls with coaches for years. And, to be really truthful and honest, the first year-ish that I was using a coach, I myself had not grown to the point where I was strategic enough to bring the most powerful outcomes to the call. So, every time when you book a call for your 30-minute calls, the day beforehand, you're going to want to fill out a pre-call form. And it will say something like, well, and actually, you know what? For this 12 weeks, I think it would be most beneficial for you to do that. All of my regular coaching clients that are not in the 8-week course or whatever, they all do that. And it provides a level of accountability. It also provides a chance to reflect and also think about what you've done well. And just now that I'm, mentioning, you're going to be filling out a form, I'm realizing that I'm not currently filling out a form for my coach, and that's not expected. However, I actually feel like that would be better for you guys as clients. Even though
I feel like
an extra 10 minutes or whatever, it's really valuable.
I think that that's kind of where my question comes from, is that I want to make sure that in that time that we have together that I'm making the most of it. And because this is the first time I've ever kind of done any sort of course before or engaged any sort of coaching before, I don't really know how to do that.
Yeah.
And
so I would do that. I've been trying to figure out a way so that each person receives the form like in their email box the day before, so that you don't have to find the link and click on it. But until I figure that out, then you'll just have to take ownership of filling out the form on your own the day before the call.
Yeah, I mean, even if the link is in like the pinned post or something is quick and easy to find.
Yeah, I'll just put it there for now until I figure out how to make it just magically appear for you.
Magic.
I know, it's really nice when those things happen. So yeah, I would do that. That's typically what people have done prior to a call, so that I have a heads up on what they want their outcome of that call to be. And that way, if I need to gather any resources or just gather my thoughts and think about examples, things of that nature. But what I was saying, it's that last question on that form when it says, what's the outcome you want for the call, basically. That space, I was not well prepared to even know what to ask for. Does that make sense? Like, I just wanted,
Yes.
it's sort of like, I don't even know what I need. And so don't feel bad. Like, if you go through that period of time, and maybe even it's this whole course and you still, at the end, you're still like, I don't know what I need. There usually, you just have trouble verbalizing it, and having the space to process what it is that the needs are. And a lot of times, you'll come out of the call. It's not like you're not going to get anything out of the call. You'll come out of the call having processed some of that information. So we always start with what's going well and spend time celebrating, what things you have done and what were the ripple effects of the actions that you took, what opportunities have arisen. And then then we would move into what challenges did you experience over the last week or so? And what did that bring out in you? Is there anything that we need to address in, what that looked like for you, that challenge? And then the last would be, if there's additional stuff that you want to talk through and problem solve, then we attack that as well. So that's what the calls look like. For my coaching calls, for sure, just because, on our initial calls, sometimes it goes up to 2 hours and whatever. I have to be really, really boundary driven on my 30-minute calls because there are a lot of them. And so if we're in mid-sentence and the 30-minute timer goes off, like, we just have to stop, and then we can continue on either the Q&A or the Facebook group. So, okay, so then let's see. I'm just going to take a second and read the rest of your form. Okay, so Wheel of Life, let's talk through what roles would go on there, what things would go on there. So it's probably easier to think through and write down what roles would go on there, because those, like, you really don't have a choice. Well, you have a choice about them. You always have choices. But you are a wife. You are a mother. You are an employee currently, a full-time employee. And that does require your time and your brain cells. And then you are also a CE. And I don't know if you need to put down like homemaker. Personally, I think putting in, and I can't remember if I actually said this in the module or not, putting in one that is like just me as a human being and a woman, because you're in a process right now where you are growing and you're recapturing your true identity. So that in and of itself is a huge area of importance right now. So these don't have to be, the things that go on your Wheel of Life now do not have to go on your Wheel of Life for the rest of your life. But also, I remember even on our call when we were talking, you were talking about connections and relationships. So friendship might be one that goes on yours. Mm-hmm. If things don't fit on, like, I would use up all the spaces because it's not going to hurt anything. There's not 20 spaces on there for a reason. So feel free to use up all the spaces that are on the Wheel of Life. And actually, your wheel would look really lopsided if you didn't use all the spaces. But yeah, does that help at all?
Yeah, it does. I think it's just kind of an affirmation that maybe I was heading in the right direction.
Good. Okay. Yeah, and
because that's kind of what I had done.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, a lot of times the tendency is just to overthink it and just write down like those first things that come to mind. There may be something, that comes back later and you're like, oh man, this is huge. Why didn't I think of that? And of course, if that's the case, then you can always just write it off to the side and number it. And, it doesn't have to be in the pie chart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Do you know off the top of your head what like the top 3 areas were that would need focus?
I I mean, probably the personal piece, the me piece.
Okay. Yep.
The CE piece, because that's kind of the direction that I'm heading in. I don't know what I would put at 3. I feel like those 2 stand out really strongly to me, because those are the areas that I'm really working on, and then everything else is like, and I'd like all of this to not fall to the end of the list of things to do while I work on these other things.
That makes sense. Awesome. Is there anything else I can answer for you this morning, Ryan?
No, I think that, that's about as far as I've gotten so far, but
that's good. You just joined, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
If you want to listen in, that's fine. As I talk to Carrie, if you need to hop off since you're at work, that's fine too.
Yeah, I might just put myself on mute and see if there's, sorry, as long as you don't mind, Carrie.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Good deal. Awesome. So, all right. How are you?
Good. Very good. Very excited.
Yay!
I was looking at the Wheel of Life as Ryan was talking. I was thinking the same thing, personal and Trades of Hope right at the top. And then probably I don't know if this is the one you can see, if that's the one you're working off of. Okay. Because one of them listed on there that's already written down is time. And that would be a big one for me. That'd be like my third one if I was having to get 3 top ones. I feel like I'm kind of jumping on the end of it, and of your call here.
Oh, it's okay.
And I was trying to find the email that had the list of things that I don't know what I was supposed to do or get ready or find it, and I can't find it. So, so I'm here.
Okay. So, so tell me what time on there means to you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes. Figuring out how to, yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I think I have an unstable connection.
You're okay.
Okay. Might be a little sketchy. My internet usually is. But just dividing up my time and then being diligent and staying focused when I do have chunks of time for certain things to accomplish what I'm supposed to be during that time, and getting my priorities to the top during that time and checking them off in the order that feels good to me to get them accomplished.
Okay. So prioritizing and then focus is what I hear.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So what I have found that works best for me, and of course, each person's, the tendencies are different, so it may or may not, but if I don't have if I haven't set the priorities for that block of time prior to the block of time starting, then even that entire chunk is not going to be as effective as what it would have been.
Yeah.
So same thing goes for my entire day. If I haven't laid out my day the night before, the whole next day, somehow, even though it would only take 10 minutes to plan out the day at the beginning of the day, somehow that whole day is just not on track. And I don't, I haven't dug in and studied why that is. But, for me, who knows how many years I did this in direct sales, where I would have the block of time and not have a clue who I was going to reach out to during that block of time. I just had scheduled connect or invite or follow up. And if I didn't have the list ready ahead of time, it was just pitiful. I might have only connected with 2 people versus 20, the numbers, I would do something, but it was just not nearly as effective. So one of the, kind of the principles of especially direct sales is to always be working from a master list. You always have a master list, going, and even if you don't stick, my personality does have quite a bit of rebel in there. And so I will never be one that just goes one by one by one by one. because that's the right thing to do. And so I will not do that. But at least if I have the names on there, I can go back to those names and see if any is not scratched out or, you know, whatever feels lovely to me that day. But at least the list is there and the names are there. I used to waste so much time. I would actually go to my friends list every time I was going to invite and just scroll through my friends list. And man, what a time waster that is. And then you're looking at babies when you click on their picture, and it was horrible. So yeah, that's like the opposite of focus. Even though I had good intentions, you know. So determining your priorities. Now, how do you do that? When you are trying to figure out what to do in a block of time, and it's actually the same question for, you know, when we have our one-on-one calls. What is the outcome that you want? Is the outcome to see how many people you can feel good today, or to have 3 people say yes, or to follow up with so many people, or to get so much in sales? You must know your outcome clearly. And then for me, if I had an outcome, you know, always, because you guys have heard me talk, always my focus is in every conversation, I want this person to feel better than before they had the conversation with me. That's the foundation, right? That is the focus of every specific conversation. However, what is the focus of an entire chunk of time? That's a different, you know, going to be a different outcome. So if the entire chunk of time, that outcome is to have booked 2 parties, then personally, I would not even set a number of people to reach out to. There are people that may function better that way, and they reach out to this many people and then they stop. Maybe that's going to work for them that day, and maybe it's not. That doesn't work well for my personality, because if I reach out to 20 people and I have not gotten the 2 yeses, who's to say that 21 and 22 wouldn't have been my yeses, and I would have been on top of the world for the whole next 24 hours or 48 hours or a week or whatever if I had just reached out to 2 more people. So if my outcome is to have 2 yeses, then I'm going to reach out to as many people as it requires to get to 2 yeses. And so what ends up happening is that if I realize that, I'm going to show up in a really powerful way so that I don't have to message 20 people to get 2 yeses. And so what ends up happening? You're spending less time to reach the same outcome as if you had said, my goal is just to message 20 people today. It's going to probably take you longer, and you're not going to get the results that you wanted.
Yep.
Does that make sense? So outcome, and determining what your outcome is. And then, of course, you know, there's a bazillion ways that you can reach the outcome. What's going to be your most effective way to reach the outcome? And I mean, you and you're kind of practiced at this, having gone through these calls, and whether you realize that we're going through that same format every time, like that is what the format is that we talk about. Okay, your outcome is to get $500 more in sales. What are all your options to get there? Okay, what are your best options out of all that we've listed? What are you going to act on? So it's the same thing, and it's just using that same format, that same template for, you know, a 1-hour block of time.
Yeah, that's really good. Great.
And then, you know, here's the thing. In terms of the focus, we've just talked about the prioritizing, but when you take yourself through that process of like, here's all my options and here's what I'm most excited about, you're going to be way more focused because you're excited about the options that you've chosen to get there.
Right.
So you're not like fighting yourself to do something because you're choosing what you want to do and what you're excited about. Like if I'm excited about messaging people for a $5 thing enrollment, then I'm going to be way more focused because I'm excited about it. It means something to me.
Right.
And if you don't have anything external that you are excited about that has been brought to you, then you create that, which we've also done in the past.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. And you're excited because they'll be excited.
Say that again.
And I'm excited because I know they'll be excited.
Correct. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. What were you going to say?
That I had all those questions there on that coaching form to fill out the day before. I had typed them up, and then that becomes my worksheet. So like when we're talking, I write down the things that I'm committing to this week, and then I have it hanging up on my, right in front of my desk here, and I can look at it all week. And then as things come up, as I do things, as I challenges, experience, new opportunities, I can note those on there. And then it takes like 1 minute to fill out the form the night before if I have it all someplace, not just like trying to pull it out of my head the moment before.
Yeah. So Ryan, you see, this is a beautiful example of a star student right here. So hey, would you share that on the mastermind page if you're able to upload the document to share it with somebody else?
Sure. Yeah, I think I can do that. I'll figure it out.
And if not, it's not going to be hard. I could type it out as well, but I just figure sometimes it would mean more coming from somebody else than from me.
Sure.
Very cool. Yeah, super smart.
On the beautifully balanced one?
The one that says mastermind.
Okay, yes.
The small baby group. Yeah.
Sure.
Any other head things or logistics that we want to talk through this morning? Congratulations to you. She is going to Haiti and signed up 3 new people this weekend, and her downline CE signed up 8.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. 10.
Wow.
10.
Holy wow.
We got 10 more.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
She's going to be on Erin's call this morning.
Got it.
Yep.
Awesome.
And it's because of you, Tracy, because you encouraged me and you gave me incentive. And so I just encouraged her. I said, hey, have you thought about these 2 girls? Would you want to reach out to them? Because I don't know if she had done anything with a $5 sign on. And so I just encouraged her. I said, and if you want to give them a little extra incentive, say that your sponsor will send them some happy mail if they sign up by a certain time or whatever. And so she just went crazy. She just went crazy with it. And she said too, she goes, I love your scarf video. I want to do one like that too. Because she wants to go to Haiti with me on this trip. She wants to buy her, because she qualified. Way overqualified.
Yeah.
That's great.
Awesome. Oh, that just gave me chills. That's so cool. Yeah. And it's funny because I was thinking this morning, I wonder what she ended up saying to that girl. So now I know. And I had forgotten that I mentioned about the Happy Meal.
Yeah. The Happy Meal.
Happy Meal.
I'll talk to you later, okay? Bye.
Yes. Bye. Bye, Ryan. Super. All right. Well, congratulations. Seriously, that's so fun.
Yes.
What momentum, man, for your team.
Yeah. And just the perfect timing right now to go to Haiti, for her to go to Haiti when she can come back with so much to offer her team.
Absolutely. So now how do you feel about coaching her as this new, sudden leader?
Yeah.
How does she feel about that?
I think I've been thinking about it a lot, and I was talking, we're up to a 1 last night talking, but she, to give her, to just keep it really simple. I said, it's just the 1, 2, 3, just tell them to get started with the app. That's all they need right now. So I don't want her to feel overwhelmed, but I don't think she does. I think she's so excited that she's really motivated. And
good.
So.
Yep. And that's what I had one person join that just reached out to me, that sort of thing. And so that was exactly what I told her. Just do the app.
Yeah.
to the app, and like, don't even worry about signing into your online office because the app will walk you through it, like just get the app and do the app. And then I'm wondering if it would be, because, typically she would have a one-on-one call with each person immediately to find out what they want to get out of it and how she can best support them.
Yeah.
So two things. How do you feel about a getting started right call? And second, I'm wondering if it may be better to do even 2 small group calls for her and her team versus that many individual ones. They're all going to be feeling essentially the same things right now.
Mm-hmm.
And potentially that would be a huge time savings to have 2 small group calls. And then she'd be able to connect with each one individually, but not have to repeat all of that same basic stuff.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, I'm telling her not to be overwhelmed, but it feels a little overwhelming to me to think, okay, where do I ask? I don't want to overwhelm them with too much information, but I don't want to leave them like, you didn't tell me about the Smart Start. I would have totally gone for that. So
right.
Prioritize that. That's probably
thing too. So yeah, I mean, I think again, like even for let's say, and you don't have to do what, like 2 small group calls, like just because I threw that out there. To me, that would be a bite-sized chunk that I would be able to
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And you could potentially ask her, what if we did this and I was on the first one with you and then you did the second group on your own? What would you think about that?
Yeah.
And that's sort of, walking alongside her and showing her and then giving her the wings to fly. Mm-hmm. So that when she finishes that second call, regardless of how it went, she can feel empowered.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But just thinking through, okay, so if we do this getting started right call, what's our outcome for the call? The outcome, and I'm just throwing things out, the outcome would be that you made a good decision, that anybody can do this. You have support. You know what I mean? Like, just think through, how would they be feeling? What do they need to hear most? And, I'm really bold on my getting started right calls because I want to lay the foundation that you're a business owner now and start that ownership. So, I tell people, it only costs you $5. However, you're a CEO now. And if you want to earn money from this, then you must treat it like a CEO. If you want it to cost you money, then treat it like a hobby. Mm-hmm. That's really the way that it'll be. And I never want anybody to say that it didn't work for them because I hadn't spoken up and told them that.
Yeah.
And might you lose one of the 10? Yeah, it's really possible. But will the other 9 respect you more as a leader and be more empowered to do it on their own? Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so then I usually tell people, my interaction with you is based on how much I see you showing up. And I use the football game example, the analogy of, if the players want to get put into the game, they show up to the huddle. If they don't want to get put into the game, then they just sit off on the sidelines and watch. So that's up to you. That's your choice. I, as the coach, will always be here when you show up to the huddle, meaning when you reach out to me, when you ask to set up a call with me, when you show up to team meetings and engage on our group page, and when you're working the business and I see your name in my online office. That's how you show up to the huddle. So they're very clear on what that means to you. And that's how I want to be your friend first, but this is also a business to me and it's for my family as well. So I have to really guard my time strongly. And we would want that for them too, you know, so it's not it being mean or harsh or anything, but it's giving them the freedom of, oh, good, I don't have to do this 24 hours a day. I can actually set my own boundaries. Thank goodness. Maybe I can do this. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Set the example.
Yeah. And then, of course, my tendency is to just talk forever. So I would just try to keep it really 15 to 20 minutes.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because for some of them, that's all that they want. They really just signed up because it's $5 and they have no idea what they are going to do with it.
Yeah.
You know, and then the ones who, you know, you may even I'm trying to figure out what would be the best step for when you're getting off of that call, because for the people who want to do more with it and to create, well, I mean, I guess you could say, you know, in terms of creating vision, we're going to have this entire team call, so that if you want to do something more at the business, that would be a good next step to find out, you know, what's possible for you. And if you don't want to just leave them there at the end of the getting started call. You know, I guess if you wanted to request that each person shoot you a message, or her a message with their typical availability so that she could schedule a one-on-one call with them. Do you think that would be an appropriate, you know, usually you're going to do a follow-up call.
Yeah, I'll see what
like a week later. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'll talk to Tanya about that and see how she feels about individual coaching, stuff like that. Yeah.
Right. And I can't remember if I've ever given it to you too. I've got it outlined for the questions that I usually ask on a getting started right call.
I would love that.
Okay. Cool. That may also be a good thing to upload to one of the modules, like in the leadership corner. So yeah, cool. It looks like my Zoom time is getting ready to run out, but do you have anything else?
No, that's great. I've got a lot to do today to roll on all that's started and getting it followed up with my thing. I'm so excited.
Yeah, that's so fun. It's so fun. And here's the thing, like, you know, it's so much even bigger than what we allowed ourselves to dream at the beginning of January, you know, like it's just been exceeded, but it's step by step based on the person that you've been becoming over these last weeks. So
growing pains. Yeah, it felt like a little while to get traction, and now momentum is going, and woo!
Very, very cool. Awesome. Well, thanks for hopping on the call. It was a good call. I'm excited for you guys.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you so much, Tracy. Look forward to this.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Have a great day.
Bye. You too.